already been subscribed. Right now, the queen, she on live.
Right now.
Please pull over the whip, no phoning when you drive. Dope Soul Sporting with the talk. First lady from New York, New York.
Brooklyn.
All my people, you rocking with the chat.
Hit that.
That like button would tell me where you at. You know, step from the NBK. Born and raised up NBK. Hey, real lady, where she holding it down. No matter way how you feel, she gon' greet you with a smile.
Sister, you one of a kind.
Yes.
Oh, sister, it's time you
That's her.
shine. Dope Soul.
Where you at? Where you at?
Dope Soul.
Where you at? Where you at?
Dope Soul.
What?
Dope Soul.
What?
Your soul.
Where you at? Where you at?
Salute, Knick family. Welcome to the channel, Dope Soul Sports Talk, Dope Soul Knicks Talk, a member of the NBK family. The Knicks lost a heartbreaker in Toronto last night in overtime, 121-123. We'll get into the particulars, but the Knicks lost by 1 in overtime in Toronto, playing essentially a 6-man rotation. Well, there's some things they could have done better down the stretch, no doubt about it. But this is a really tough team that doesn't give up. Anyway, we'll get into it. Shout out to the chat. Shout out to those who are going to be watching later. And shout out to those who were in the building early. Jeff Clafter, Geraldine, MacGyver, Deron Wayne, Jerrell, and I'm sure there were others. I appreciate you all for being there. As soon as I logged on, I saw Jeff Clafter and Geraldine MacGyver. I appreciate all the support for sure. All right, let's get into this. All right, coming into the game, the Knicks were 25-19, holding on to the 6th spot in the Eastern Conference, 7-3 over their last 10, having won 3 straight. They started the usual: Brunson, Grimes, Barrett, Randall, Mitchell, Robinson. Nobody was out due to injury on the Knicks. Toronto 19-24. I mentioned in the last recap show they've been struggling. 11th in the Eastern Conference, 4-6 over their last 10. They lost 1. They started Fred VanVleet, Gary Trent Jr., Scotty Barnes, who had a monster game for them, OG Anunoby, Pascal Siakam, and even though Otto Porter Jr. was out, he wasn't in the rotation. So neither team had any rotation players out. As far as the individual stats, RJ Barrett, it was a tale of two halves, right? The first quarter, maybe the tale of one quarter. The first quarter, he just looked regular, if that, right? And then he came alive. 32.7 rebounds, 2 assists, 40. Didn't shoot well from the field, but of our top 3 players, he shot the best. 43.5%. The monster dunk at the end of the game to tie it, in which he was fouled. We'll talk about that. And he was awesome from the free throw line as well. Brunson, 26.7 rebounds, 2 assists, shot only 37.9% from the field. Toronto's a tough team. They play all of us tough. They play Brunson particularly tough, and he didn't shoot well. Not only didn't he shoot well, he was 2 for 9 in the fourth quarter and overtime, had 2 turnovers, and missed a key free throw. You know, I, for one, think part of it was Toronto, of course, and the defense that they play. But I think another part of it was fatigue. This is the second half of a back-to-back. You know, he's been playing basically 40 minutes a game, at least for the month of January. He's being backed up by McBride. McBride got, 7 minutes last night? So, yeah, I think part of it was Toronto, but I think part of it was fatigue, because he didn't even look to want the ball in the stretch or in the clutch for me. Didn't seem like it anyway. But I'm not going to bang on him. He's been great. You know, he's been great for us. Even the best of the best have games in which they don't come through in the clutch, right? Randall, 21 points, 15 rebounds, 8 assists. Another one who didn't shoot well from the field, 35% from the field. I believe he was just 1 of 6 from the 3-point line. But 8 assists to 3 turnovers, That's great. 15 rebounds against a team where you really needed to be on the boards just to not to give up the second chance points. So I thought he was okay. He also missed a clutch free throw. He also had a key turnover out of the double team. So none of these guys are perfect, right? They're going to have good things that they do well, things that they don't do too well. I, for one, get a little nervous with Randall down the stretch with the ball in his hands. That's just me. I know he's been playing lights out this season. I'm still not too comfortable with him having the ball down the stretch. I think after RJ, dunked the ball to put us into overtime, the first two possessions after that went to Randall. I would have liked to have seen it in RJ Barrett's hand. Not necessarily to create a shot. It's not great creating a shot, but just on the swing around, just to get the ball to him because he had been playing well in that fourth quarter. I think he has 6 points in the fourth and then also 6 points in overtime, if I'm not mistaken. Mitchell Robinson, a mixed bag for me. 11 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 block. Of those 8 rebounds, only 3 of them were defensive. I get it. He was playing Siakam, out on the perimeter, and he did a fairly good job with Siakam. I thought he caused Siakam to pick up the ball and pass it as opposed to driving to the lane, as opposed to even trying to shoot over Mitch because he had the space to do so. But for whatever reason, he didn't really challenge Mitch, right? And Mitch caused him to pass the ball, which I thought was great. There were some possessions in which Mitch was 1 pass away, and I thought he was just cheating too much to the lane. Again, part scheme, part habit, just in terms of how far he cheats to cut off the lane before the guy even drives. I guess to discourage him from driving. But when he does that, he leaves Siakam open, just 1 pass away, and then he doesn't get back in time. And that happened a few times. But overall, I thought going big with Mitch didn't hurt us too much. I did think down the stretch, and we'll talk about this more in overtime, maybe sitting Mitch out, putting Randall at the 5 and RJ at the 4, but that creates different challenges also. And we'll talk about that a little later on. For Toronto, Van Vliet, 33 points, 5 rebounds, 8 assists, shot 43.5% from the field. Scotty Barnes, who hasn't really been scoring that much for them, 26.7 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks. Had 3 offensive rebounds when they went on that. I believe it was 8-5 run in the last 5 minutes or so of the fourth quarter. I think he had like 3 offensive rebounds in that stretch, or the team had 3 offensive rebounds in that stretch, but he had a big one. Siakam, 20 points, 8 rebounds, 9 assists, 3 blocks. Gary Trent Jr., 18 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal. The Knicks shot, not too well, 42.4% from the field, but Toronto didn't shoot that much better, 39.6% from the field. New York shot 29% from the three-point line. Toronto shot 29.5% from the free throw line. New York shot 80% from the three-point line. New York shot 80% from the free throw line, and Toronto 82.9%, but they went more. New York went to the line 35 times. They went 6 more at 41. And we'll talk about the officiating and what I thought was a foul discrepancy as well. Let me just go through some other players who weren't the top 4 scorers on the team before I check in with the chat. Grimes, 10 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, 2 3-pointers, went to the line twice, made both of them. Grimes was all over the place. And let's not forget the big shot that he hit in the fourth quarter off the pass from Randall. And that was one of the times. So I know a lot of times when Randall get double teamed, it seems like he's always turning it over. But that's not the case. He hit Grimes off the double team for the big 3 in the fourth quarter. So Grimes played very well. And actually, Grimes closed out the game over quickly, which doesn't usually happen. Quickly, 14 points, 1 rebound, 1 block, no turnovers, 1 3-pointer, went to the line 7 times, which tell us that he was very aggressive, and he hit all 7 of them. Grimes went twice, hit both of his. Barrett went 11 times, hit 10 out of 11. Randall 6 of 9. Brunson 2 of 4. As far as the bench is concerned, they played a little more last night. Hartenstein got 16 minutes. McBride got 6 minutes, up from 4 minutes last time. And Obi Toppin had 11 minutes. And I think last game he might have had, that might have been about right. Obi Toppin in his 11 minutes, 5 points, 1 steal, 2 rebounds, hit a 3-pointer, 2 for 4 from the field. Obi Toppin made the most of his 11 minutes. Isaiah Hartenstein in his 16 minutes, 2 points, 1 assist, 5 rebounds, took 1 shot, made the most of his 16 minutes. McBride only played 6 minutes, and he contributed 2 rebounds, no turnovers. All right, let's check in with the chat before we move on. Yeah. Deron Wayne, meaning that the starters are playing too much and getting worn down. They are. I don't know what the solution is. Obviously I'm all for, like I've said before, Fournier, even Rose, Cam, Sims, any combination of those, putting them back in the rotation, but it just doesn't seem like that's going to happen. Yes, Brunson did get Player of the Week. We'll talk about that as well. JJ, 5 shots in 40 minutes for Grimes. That's not his role, JJ. I get it. He's one of your favorite players. He's one of my, I only have 3 players that I really, really like on this team, and he's one of them. But his role is to play off of guys. So he's going to get his shots when he gets, his shots. There's the games when he's had 10 shots as well. Keith Turner, Toronto got a wing factory over there. Yeah. And they give us fits. I mean, they're long. I mean, Van Vliet and Gary Trent Jr. are not that tall. I don't know what Gary Trent Jr.'s wingspan is, but he's 6'3" or something like that. Somebody let me know how tall. I don't know if Sherman is in the building. The master of height. How tall is Gary Trent Jr. and what his wingspan is. But 3, 4, and 5 with Anunoby, Siakam, and Scotty Barnes. Yeah, height and length with those 3. And which is why you can get away with Siakam at center, who's just 6'8". If RJ was Luka, the foul would have been called. Yeah. We'll definitely talk about that. Keith Turner believes we will always struggle against Toronto until we get some wings. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you're right. And yet we were right there. All right. Gonna be hard to win games when Brunson and Randall are both inefficient. We were right there. I mean, both of them were inefficient. Randall shot 35%, Brunson shot 37.9%, but yet we were right there. All right. Beverly from the Lakers would solve that problem. Yeah. I like Barnes. I mean, excuse me. I like Pat Bev. Listen, if you're backing up Brunson, what are we talking about? 12 minutes? 12 minutes. He's going to play 35, 36 minutes a game. So whoever the backup is has to give you 12 good minutes of basketball, right? And I think Pat Bev can do that. I don't think he's the only one that can do that, but he can give you 12 minutes of good basketball, good defense, run the offense. Over the years, his 3-point shooting has gotten better. I don't think it's that great this year, but for the most part, his 3-point shooting has been okay. But we're talking 12 minutes, and I think we really need it. I think part of what we saw from Brunson down the stretch was fatigue. Another part of it was Toronto, don't get me wrong, but also part of it was fatigue. 12 minutes of rest would help a lot. All right. Team stats here. The Knicks out rebounded Toronto, 17 assists, right? We're just turning into a team that doesn't really pass the ball. 17 assists to 27 assists for Toronto. Toronto had 12 blocks, and that's when we talk about their length, 12 blocks. We had 5. We turned the ball over 11 times. They turned it over 6. Neither team shot well from the field, but the Knicks shot a little better from the field. Second points in the paint, the Knicks was plus 18, 58 to 40. Second chance points, 26 to 24. But it's when you get those second chance points. The Knicks were up, I believe it was 10 with a little over 5 minutes to go. And then here we go with the mistakes. And part of those mistakes was giving up 3 offensive rebounds during that span. Fast break points, 4 to 14. I wouldn't expect a lot of fast break points for the Knicks for the rest of the season. That was them earlier. We've slowed the pace down considerably. And bench points, 21 to 16. But I believe IQ had 14 of those bench points. So once you take IQ out of the equation, we're not getting a lot as far as scoring from the bench. But again, I thought Ihard and Obi did well in terms of rebounding. McBride, as always, in terms of his effort on the defensive end. But if the front office didn't know that the Knicks needed more help, last night on the back-to-back showed it that they need more help. And I still believe Tibbs need to open up the rotation situationally. On the back-to-back, play a Fournier. If play a Cam. If you can't play a Cam because of a mandate from the front office, they're going to trade him. They're afraid he may get injured. You can't play Fournier 5 minutes in a game. You can't play Sims 5 minutes in a game. I mean, come on. I think, and I get it. I get it. You run the chance of losing a lead. You run the chance of, different things happening, losing some steam. I get it. But you got to take the chance, especially on the second half of a back-to-back. All right, let's talk about the game itself. The largest lead by either team was 10 points. The game was tied 10 times, and there were 5 lead changes. So this was basically a slugfest, right? No team really got out to a huge lead. It was back and forth the entire game. It was almost like a 90s game, except that each team scored at least 120 points, right? That rarely happened, in the 90s, unless you were like Phoenix or someone. Like I said, the Knicks were up 9 with a little over 5 minutes to go. Here we go. Missed free throws by Brunson and Randall. They gave up 3 offensive boards. They turned the ball over 3 times. And, Toronto went on an 18-7 run, right? And the only reason why I went into overtime was because of R.J. Barrett's coast-to-coast dunk, in which he was fouled. And shout out to Ajay, Dope Soul Sports Talk family, who sent me an email and said that had they called the foul and RJ, we would have had a 72% chance of winning that game. I was at the game. Obviously, I couldn't hear the whistle once he threw that dunk down. The garden was just, in an uproar. I couldn't hear the whistle. I thought it was a foul, but there wasn't one. And clearly, he was fouled. Now, I'm not one to complain about the officiating. And the Knicks and Toronto only took 6 more free throws than the Knicks. But in that first half, particularly in the first half, I just thought Toronto got all the ticky-tack fouls. And for the Knicks, you basically had to chop their hands off in order for the Knicks to get a foul. Some egregious call. Somebody was out of bounds. It wasn't called. It went off somebody. A Toronto player, it wasn't called. The officiation, in my opinion, was one-sided, uneven, to say the least. The pushing it back by Randall late in the game, I mean, it was a pushing it back. I think they called another one on Robinson in the fourth quarter overtime. It was a pushing it back. It was. I just felt like the Knicks couldn't get away with nothing. And Toronto got away with a lot, in my opinion, and particularly that dunk by RJ Barrett. That should have been a foul. We'll watch. We'll see when the 2-minute report comes out. It's not going to help us, right? They don't change the outcome of the game, but the 2-minute report will come out sometime today, and that's where the officials or the NBA or the head of officiating, I'm not sure who puts out the report, will let us know what was a foul, what wasn't a foul, things like that. RJ Barrett got fouled on that play. All right. What do we think about closing the overtime with Grimes over IQ? Any thoughts on that? There was a time in the game when I thought maybe take Robinson out because those guys played the entire overtime, right? The starters played the entire 5 minutes of overtime. There was a time when I thought maybe you take Robinson out, maybe you go with, Randall at the 5 against Siakam, Barrett at the 4, Grimes at the 3, even though Grimes would have had it to guard Anunoby or Barnes. And those guys are not just taller than him, but longer than him. But he's done it. He has done it this season. Tibbs likes his rim protectors in the game. You needed rebounding. But, Robinson only had 3 defensive rebounds. So, I'm not so sure about that. I don't know about RJ Barrett on RJ Barrett played, not Anunoby, Barnes most of the game. Maybe switch that up. Maybe put him on Anunoby, who was out on the 3-point line. I mean, he had, I don't know if this might have been the most he scored this season, 26 points. I like Grimes. I like IQ a little better closing games, partly because you got another ball handler. I mentioned this before. He can shoot the 3 playing off of those guys, but he can also create his own shot. Grimes can create his own shot as well, but I think IQ is much more comfortable calling his number and creating creating a shot. So I would have liked to have seen IQ close, but it is what it is. What do you guys think? And also the last shot by Brunson, right? The 3. Would you have preferred? The Knicks had a timeout, I believe. Would you have preferred the Knicks to call a timeout? Me, not so much. Not so much. I think when you call a timeout, Toronto gets an opportunity to set up their defense. I'm not sure we would have got a better shot against Toronto's set defense than we got, which was the 3 by Brunson in transition, though I do think his foot was on the line, if I'm not mistaken. But let me check in with the chat and see what you guys think. C-Mac, OG scored against RG at will every time that happened. Yeah, OG hit 2 key. He was just kind of regular throughout the, most of the game. And then he hit 2 big 3-pointers. I want to say they were in overtime. They might have been in the fourth quarter, but I believe they were in overtime. Jeff Clafter, I have no problem with the final possession. Yeah, me either. I just thought once they set up, they really stout defensively. They're physical defensively. They're long defensively. I'm not sure we would have got a better shot. And I'm not sure the officials would have called a foul. One thing RJ Barrett said is that he was pretty confident they were not going to call a foul. So he needed to go in there strong. And they didn't call a foul. So on the last play of the game, I'm not sure. Even if we were pretty aggressive going to the basket, I don't know if we left it up to the officials if they would have called a foul. Jerrell, we obviously need a trade like badly. Now, Jerrell, are you meaning in the top 6? Or as far as the bench is concerned, 7 through 9. Warren Franklin. Why don't Tibbs play Sims? It's ridiculous. He's an old, stubborn guy. Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with playing Sims. The thing with Sims is you're not getting anything not even a threat offensively. It's just strictly defense. Keith Turner IQ is hands down miles ahead of Grimes. I don't know if I will say miles ahead, but I will say that he's definitely more comfortable putting the ball on the floor. He's definitely more comfortable calling his own shot. He's definitely more comfortable saying, you know what, we need a basket right now. Let me go in and get it. And that floater in the key is money in the bank, right? I think Grimes, listen, it's his second year in the league. And that's his role, to play off of those guys. Play off of those guys. You know, if they pass it to him, that's his time to either shoot it or drive. Whereas quickly, he's just going to take it and drive. I think that's the difference in those two guys. Jeff Claft, I love Mitch, but I think that might have been better for us last night. I mean, you would have had Grimes on a taller player, and you would have had to be stout on the boards. You got Siakam, you got Anunoby, you got Barnes. Those guys are crashing the glass, right? So Grimes would have he's a pretty good rebounder for his size as well. They would have had to be stout on the boards if you went small, but I think I might have went that way. Keith Turner, IQ is a much better player than Grimes, in my opinion. Jerrell, I hardly ever talk about refs. They absolutely sucked last game. They let Toronto be physical with us, and we couldn't hit back. That's a very good point, shaking my head. That's a very good point. The Knicks are physical too. But if one team is physical and they're getting away with it, and you're physical and you're getting called for fouls, it changes things. The Knicks letting Barnes punk Grimes like that bothered me more than the loss. What was the punk when he dunked on him? E. Gibson, appreciate you joining us this morning. Toronto presents matchup problems due to their length, but we still did great in points in the paint, 58-40. We did. That's our bread and butter. And we only turned the ball over 11 times. I think they turned it over 6. Geraldine McIver, Steph, I said yesterday that Tibbs was going to play Randall, JB, RJ, Mitch, big minutes and not use his bench. I mean, that's how it's been. That's how it's been as of late. Those 3 guys, Obi, McBride, iHeart, play like 20-something minutes a game collectively together. 20-something. Jerrell, Gary Trent is 6'5". He's 6'2" in Sherwin, though. Gary Trent is 6'5". Wow. Okay. All right. All right. Jeff Clapp, all 5 starters played 40-plus minutes for them. 3 guys at 45-plus. Yeah, I mean, they're another team that relies a lot on their starters as well because they don't have a strong bench. They don't have a strong bench. So they rely on their starters a lot. So they're similar to the Knicks. You know, they have their top 6. And then after that, everybody plays under, 12 minutes. Maybe somebody got 17 minutes. I think, Achua, I think that's his name, got 17 minutes. But I think part of that was because Siakam fouled out. I'm not sure he would have got that many minutes had he not fouled out. You know, the difference, though, is I think the Knicks have players who can give you rotation minutes, but they're just out of the rotation. You know, yeah, I'm not too happy with that. Chris Perry, appreciate you. I'm not sure if this is your first time, Chris Perry, but if it is, welcome. Let us know where you're from. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Obi was averaging a point a minute last year. Coach is not using him right. Obi needs to run. I mean, but how do you How do you use Obi when the success of your team has been on slowing the pace down, right? The Knicks played at a faster pace early in the year. They was averaging, I don't know, 12, 14, 15, sometimes 17 fast break points, right? Once we slowed the pace down, we started winning. So now how do you use Obi in that type of situation? Do you change up your entire scheme so that Obi can get more fast break points? Like how do you do that? You know, and last season it was kind of similar, last season, but part of it was Obi would leak out early and IQ would find him. I think there's a lot of emphasis on rebounding right now. There's a lot of emphasis on Obi staying in and rebounding. So he's not going to get those leak outs that he got last season. Right? But that's a good point, Chris Perry. I just think that Obi is not a fit for this team anymore. We just don't play a style of play that's conducive to him being successful. Now, the 3-point shot, though, let me dial that back a little bit, because prior to the injury, Obi was hitting like 35% from three. Early in the season, he was our best 3-point shooter. And I said last season, if Obi can get his 3-point shooting up to 35%, he can help us in the half court. Whether he get leak outs or not, whether he gets fast break points or not, he can still help us in the half court game, right? And he does that. He does that. When he gets an opportunity to hit a three, he does. And Obi only plays 11 minutes. He gets his shots up in the time that he's in the game. So I think with Obi, it's just a matter of playing more minutes. But I think defensively might be the issue for Obi, right? And that's the trade-off. You do want to bring Randall's minutes down. I think that's going to Randall will be fresher. Bring Obi minutes up. He can play in the half court. He can hit the three. He's rebounding a little better, but there is a trade-off defensively for that. And I don't know if it's a bad trade-off. Now, White Falcon 44, are you trolling right now? Start Sims and bench Grimes. Jerrell, Tibbs isn't going to play Obi any more minutes. He obviously would like another bench player at that position. I think Tibbs would trade Obi today if he could. Yeah. I think you're right. IQ Grimes. Oh, nah. I'm not. Where you putting Sims? Listen, I like Sims, I like McBride, but we do have to come to terms with the fact that you're not going to get anything offensively from those guys. Nada. In today's NBA, it's about a net positive. Those guys are not going to hold the guys the players they're guarding to zero. You got to be able to score. You got to also be able to be a threat, right? That spreads the floor a little bit, right? So the Knicks need two-way players. That's just the bottom line. I've been saying it. You need players who can defend. Even if you're a little less of a defender than McBride, but you can hit a three and you can score a little bit and you could take the ball to the basket, I'll take it, right? If you're a little less, not as good a defender as Sims, maybe a little less, still good though, but not as good as Sims, but you're a threat offensively, I'll take it. I just think that's what we need. Kerry Cox, Obi simply ain't that dude. Been telling y'all that since we drafted him. Pudge Nice, Obi on the way out. Pacers giving up first rounder. The Knicks need another first rounder, or do the Knicks need a player? The Knicks need a player. Silk Sutton, appreciate you. I don't know if this is your first time. If it is, welcome. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. Queen, the punk move was Barnes pointing at Grimes and saying, you ain't him on the jump ball position. Okay. Gotcha. I mean, what do you want? So JJ was upset that the Knicks didn't come to and do what? I mean, this happens in the NBA. Like somebody will score and say, let me put my hand in, like that you're too small, or they'll throw the ball in the player's chest, or they'll stare him down. It happens. What are you supposed to do? Run over and have a fight? I mean, it happens. Yeah, I know, right? We need talent, not picks. Duarte and a first rounder. If they're gonna give us Duarte and a first rounder for Obi, I'll take it. I will say though, do the Knicks need another shooting guard? I think Duarte is 6'4", 6'5". Do we need another shooting guard on this team? Can we get a small forward, please? Yeah, Wayne Peterson is another one on the Isaac's train. Has Isaac played in a game yet? I know he's been he hasn't been healthy the past 2 years. Has he played in a game yet? Paris, not true. McBride and Obi will become scorer capable once they get their own confidence. The Giants quarterback who was never going to improve. Listen, they might be scoring capable. There's some teams, I hear you. There are some teams who will put a player out there and just allow them to get their feet, even though they're not bringing much on the offensive end. I just don't have a lot of confidence in McBride right now on the offensive end. He's capable. I've seen him in college, West Virginia. I've seen him in the G League. He's capable. Is he NBA capable? And is he NBA capable right now? I mean, the shots that he get, they're good shots. They're just not falling. He's not hesitating from taking them when he does get them. I do think we've seen Obi can hit the three as well. I just don't think Obi is a fit for the Knicks. I really don't, in terms of how they're playing right now. And McBride, I just think we need a little more experience in the 12 minutes behind Brunson. Tibbs don't trust him. Tibbs is the coach. The Knicks are winning. They're in 6th place. He's not going anywhere. So if he's not going anywhere, please get him players that he likes, that he trusts, that he's going to play. Please consult with him before you make the trades. Because we need guys in our rotation, right? Yes, Jerrell, that's exactly what I was about. That's exactly what I wrote in my notes. We need a backup power point guard and a backup power forward. And a matter of fact, just a forward period that can back up. If we can get one that can back up both Randall and RJ, I'd be very happy right now. Wayne Peterson, Deuce is a 3rd string point guard at the moment. Paris, we're not saying what he's going to be forever and that he's not going to ever be a starter in this league. We're just saying right now, he's 3rd string. That's all. All right. Ooh, Eddie F thinks that Deuce looks like a college player. Kerry Cox thinks he's scared on offense. It's not about being narrow-minded, Paris Duggar, and you're always one for just calling people names and saying people are stupid if they don't agree with you. It's not about being narrow-minded. You got to be able to do it on different levels. You put me on a bitty basketball team right now, I'm a dunk. Can I do that against college women? Can I do that in the WNBA? So just because you've done it at one level doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be able to do it on another level when guys are bigger and taller and stronger and faster. And I'm not saying he won't be able to do it. I'm just saying because you did it one time in the NBA doesn't mean you're going to be able to do it all the time. And that's one of the toughest things to do in the NBA. Guys will have big games, score 40, score 12 points, 10 rebounds, one game. It happens. The hardest thing in the NBA is to do it consistently, and it becomes who you are. Not just a good game, but this is just how I flow. This is just how I get down on a daily basis. McBride is not there yet, and it's okay. It's okay. I'm not saying he's not going to ever not be there, but I am saying just because you can do something on one level doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be able to do it on another level. That's all. That's all I'm saying. Any backup point guards do you have in mind, Queen? I don't know. I would have to look. I like Pat Bev. I don't think he's playing this season the way he's played in seasons past, but I think he can give you 12 minutes. You know, I liked Rubio, even coming off the injury, but Cleveland re-signed him. We're talking 12 minutes. I would have to look back and see who's available that I think can give the Knicks 12 good minutes. You know, anybody in the chat, any ideas of who can come in and give the Knicks 12 straight, 12, not 12 straight, but 12 good minutes? All right. Let me see. Is there anything? Oh, we talked about Brunson's last shot. All right. Jalen Brunson was the Eastern Conference Player of the Week. The Knicks were 3-1 during that week. He averaged basically 35.6 rebounds and 5 assists. Yeah. So shout out to Jalen Brunson. The Knicks are still 6 in the Eastern Conference. Miami Heat lost their last game. Indiana Pacers has lost 4, right? Atlanta has won 3, so they're on the come up. Chicago and Toronto have just won one game. So the Knicks are still 1 full game ahead of Miami in the 6th seed. And I think we play Miami in early February. And look at the Knicks, 11-12 at home, 14-8 on the road. Right? Out of all of the teams with the winning record, I think the Knicks are the only team that's under 500 at home. Got to do better. All right. The next game is Washington, who we just played, 2 games ago? The game before Toronto? No. We played Detroit. The game before that. I think Friday night we played Washington in Washington for a win. I think it's hard to beat teams not 2 games in a row, but twice in a short period of time. I'm sure they're looking at that game and said, had they hit a few more shots, they would have won that game. So they're coming into the Garden pretty confident that they can beat the Knicks, even without Bradley Beal. Right now, the Knicks are 25-20, 6th in the Eastern Conference, 9th in offensive rating, 11th in defensive rating, 9th in net rating. Washington is 18-26, 12th. So right now, they're out of the playoff play-in picture, slightly out. 5-5 over their last 10. They've lost their last 2 games. 25th in offensive rating, 17th in defensive rating, 25th in net rating, and we beat them the last time. And all of these numbers mean absolutely nothing, right? Because on any given night, you can lose. Washington is coming into the Garden ready. The Knicks haven't been that great at home. I think this is going to be a really good game. The last game they started, Monty Morris, Corey Kispert, Kyle Kuzma, Kristaps Porzingis, and Daniel Gafford. Bradley Beal is still out. I don't know if he'll remain out, if he'll play Wednesday, but that is our next game. All right. Wednesday, tomorrow, I should be on the MBK pregame show. If you haven't already, subscribe to Nothing But Knicks as well. You'll get notified the time of the pregame show. It kind of moves around a little bit. And then I'll be back Thursday, 9-ish, for the morning recap show. All right. Let me shout out some people before I get out of here. Jerrell, appreciate you. David Lee, Jeff Clafter. Oh, Ron, we just about to get out of here and you're going to drop this, but I would love this as well. So the player I would like to answer your question, C-Mac, and I was thinking about this the other day, but I forgot about it when you asked the question. I would love TJ McConnell. They got Nembhard. They got Halliburton. Their 3rd string point guard is TJ McConnell. 3rd string. And you see what happens. Halliburton gets in. Now, they're losing, don't get me wrong. But it's not because of him. He's playing extremely well. I know because I picked him up on 2 of my fantasy basketball teams. He's playing lights out for them. I think the trade is Miles Turner and TJ McConnell for Obi, Ihart, Reddish, 2 first-round picks. See, that's 2 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks. That's a lot, Ron. I like TJ. I would just like to do TJ McConnell for Obi. Can we just do that? I like to trade. Otherwise, I have no problems with Obi, iHeart, and Reddish, the 2 second-round picks. But 2 first-round picks, that's a lot. Now, is this just a trade you're proposing, or is this something you've heard? But and Turner with Mitch, so you would play them both together, or one of them would have to come off the bench. JJ McConnell is balling. He definitely is. But shout out to Pudge Nice, C Mac, James Glass, Jeff Clafter, Jerrell, of course, Canal Band Lawyer. I appreciate you sneaking in the room. David L, White Falcon 44. I appreciate you, but I'm not starting Sims over Grimes. Eddie F, sorry I didn't get a chance to meet you at the game last night. Who else? Geraldine MacGyver, Sean Kearns, Parish Duggar, I appreciate you. Wayne Peterson. I hear you, Paris. He doesn't think anybody could shoot well with the ball stop. I think you're just making an excuse for McBride. Grimes is shooting pretty well with those ball stoppers. IQ is shooting very well with those ball stoppers. It's okay, Paris. He's just not ready. I mean, nobody is saying he's a bad NBA player. Nobody is saying he's not going to ever be ready. He's just not ready right now. It's okay. Ajay, I appreciate you. Thank you for the email. Let me see. James Glass. All right, I don't want to hold you guys, but I do appreciate you. So I do like to give the shout outs. Jeff Clafton, Geraldine MacGyver in the building early. Deron Wayne. I think I got to everybody. Yankees forever. Appreciate you. Yeah, I think I got to everybody. I appreciate you guys. Again, Wednesday, I'll be on the MBK pregame show. Thursday, I'll be back here 9-ish, for the morning recap. Then Thursday night, we have the Just Nicking It show. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, hit the notification button. Appreciate you guys.
Sister, you one of a kind.
Yes.
Sister, it's time you
That's
shine. Dope soul.
Where you at? Where you at?